A lot of people are looking at this picture and wondering if Kendrick Lamar used it as a reference when he made the song 616 in LA when he was beefing with Drake. This picture was posted by Virgil back in 2021, and people are questioning if this had any relevance to the song 616 in LA. And that's what we're going to look into today. We're going to try to see if there's anything that could connect this to Kendrick using it later on in the beef. 616 in LA had a lot of layers that we have to peel back now. And it looks like going to the lyrics, it might be hinting towards Virgil in the first place. Taking a look at the lyrics in the song, the first thing that he says in the beginning of the verse is off-white sunseeker at the marina, which now has a lot of different layers, a lot of different entendres that people have been talking about. Some people are saying, is it a boat? An off-white sunseeker is a type of yacht. Some people are saying, is he referencing Drake and his complexion? And then off-white being the brand that Virgil was known for. Now, after seeing this picture, people are wondering, was Kendrick saying off-white to reference Virgil? And that's a good point, right? Because we see on his phone 616, and then we see he's eating at a dinner table that's at the Caspia. The Caspia, if you don't know, was a restaurant that's located in the Mark Hotel. That's where Drake was staying at. That's where the cover photo for 616 in LA comes from. Drake left his items at the Mark Hotel. This is where a security guard and Twitter account user Ebony Prince obtained those items from Drake and then later on emailed them to Anthony Soleil. That's when Kendrick used these items as the cover photo for 616 in LA and Meet the Grams as well. And for the record, I just want to point out real quick that this photo was taken with other photos. There's more pictures on other slides. This is the fourth one out of 10. This was posted on October 29th. The other photos that he had took that were connected to these was this geo map of him leaving Paris. Now, this is interesting because if you take a look at the phone itself, it says October 27th, which means that he could have been leaving France or was at France. And I just want to point that out real quick because the pictures that he's taking at the Caspia could potentially be over there in France or Paris. There is one over there. There is a Caspia over there in France in the Paris location. However, when he posted this picture, he posted it on October 29th. On October 29th, that was the last time people had publicly seen Virgil. He was seen giving this snowboarder his snowboard over there in New York City. The same day he posted those pictures on Instagram. So whether he was at the Caspia in France or he's at the Caspia at the Mark Hotel, it is odd that he's eating at the Caspia and what the Caspia has been known for in regards to this beef. So I'll let y'all determine if he was eating at the Caspia in Paris or if he was eating at the Caspia at the Mark. But what doesn't help is that Ebony Prince caught wind of this situation here. And it looks like the security guard, Ebony Prince, the man that took the items from Drake at this hotel, is backing up the claim by posting this picture here of Virgil. Seems like he's claiming that these rumors are true, but we'll keep it alleged at this time. From what it looks like, it does seem strange that Virgil was eating at the same restaurant that's connected to the same hotel that's in direct connection with the beef. It just seems so odd. What are the coincidences, right? Virgil eating at the Caspia is in the Mark, but he was in Paris the day before, but now he's in New York City. To be honest, it's too strange to brush off, which got everybody thinking about why is Kendrick using Virgil? Why is he at a place like the Caspia that's so familiar to us in this beef? And when he's saying off-white sunseeker, is he talking about Drake and his relationship with Virgil? At least that's the impression that I'm getting when I see these lyrics, because Drake did have a relationship with Virgil. And I think that's something that we need to talk about, right? You see, Drake and Virgil had a relationship. Drake commissioned Virgil for his design services. For example, Virgil helped design a custom version of Patek Philippe Nautilus watch for Drake. Virgil also designed the exterior on Drake's private jet Air Drake, which has a custom paint job featuring clouds and sky motifs. Drake publicly honored Virgil when Virgil passed away in November 2021, a month after this photo was taken. He was quoted to say, "My plan is to touch the sky 1,000 more times for you. Love you eternally, brother. Thank you for everything." So it seems like they're close. But the real question is, if Kendrick did see this photo and he did use it as a reference for the song 616 in LA, why would he use it? And why would he try to point at Virgil in the beef against Drake? The first theory could be that Kendrick is trying to reference the hotel the same way he referenced the hotel when he used it as a cover photo for the art of 616 in LA, as well as the lyrics when he says off-white. Now, the other theory that I had and why he would bring up Virgil would be in regards to Pharrell, which is another person in fashion that played a role inside this beef. And of course, we got to go back to the song Meltdown, because this is kind of where Drake started dissing Pharrell publicly and started letting people know that he had an issue with Pharrell. He said, "Man, F all that spinning the narrative-ish. I melt down the chains that I bought from your boss. Give a F about all the heritage-ish. Since V not around, the members done hung up the Louis. They not even wearing that ish. Don't come to the boy about repairing some ish. Don't come to the boy about sparing some ish. Lucky that Vogue was suing, because I would have been with the Wassas in Paris and ish." Now, this is a reference to Virgil and Pharrell. He talks about how he'll never wear Louis Vuitton because Pharrell took over after Virgil. And I think this is what he's trying to point at least this is what I'm thinking as another theory. You see, Virgil Abloh was appointed artistic director of menswear at Louis Vuitton in 2018. After Virgil's passing in November 21, 1 month after this photo was taken, Pharrell was named the new men's creative director of Louis Vuitton in February 2023. This song by Drake and Meltdown was dropped in July 28 when he was actually at the Mark Hotel, which is funny and ironic enough, right? What are the odds? But after Pharrell got the spot over there at Louis Vuitton, a few months later, Drake decides to diss him. After Pharrell becomes the men's creative director at Louis Vuitton, Drake decides to diss him publicly. And also, you can't forget in the song Euphoria, Kendrick Lamar raps the line, "I don't like you poppin' ish at Pharrell. For him, I inherit the beef." So there is a direct mention of Pharrell and Kendrick's diss in Euphoria. And I think this goes back to Pharrell and Virgil, at least in this theory that I have. And this is how we map it together. Virgil is a major cultural icon in the luxury fashion design world, especially tied to hip hop culture. Pharrell is his successor at Louis Vuitton, has his own status in music and fashion, and now symbolically takes over from Virgil in the brand space. Drake, known for luxury branding, fashion collaborations, lifestyle, and imagery, he is part of that luxury brand ecosystem. So referencing Virgil, Off-White, Louis Vuitton would hit him where he stands. Kendrick in his diss says, "For him, I inherit the beef." Referencing Pharrell implies Kendrick is taking on Pharrell's issues or their symbolic weight. So that way he could go at Drake this way. The brand luxury angle, Virgil and Pharrell, Louis Vuitton, gives more texture. It's not just you versus me type of beef. It's you versus our culture, our icons, our brand legacy. And I think this is where the reference of Virgil comes from. And then this is when Drake buys Pharrell's jewelry. This is when he says he's going to melt it down. He bought all the pendants that Pharrell had back in the day. So when Drake says, "I melt down the chains I bought from your boss," he's bragging that he destroyed items associated with Pharrell, turning a symbol of Pharrell's legacy and culture value into something disposable. And when Drake says in the song Meltdown, "I give a F about the heritage-ish," he's dismissing Pharrell's creative and fashion legacy and indirectly the Virgil and Pharrell LV lineage. Essentially, Drake mocked the meaning and value of Pharrell's cultural contributions just a few months after Pharrell inherited Virgil's Louis Vuitton position. So Drake disrespects Pharrell, someone that took Virgil's place. In theory, Kendrick feels that was culturally out of line. Pharrell represents artistry, authenticity, and creativity in both music and fashion, things that Kendrick values. So Kendrick is declaring that he's taking up to Pharrell's side, inheriting the beef, not just as personal loyalty, but as a cultural statement, defending creativity, integrity, and real artistry against Drake's brand-driven ego. Virgil was Drake's close friend and collaborator. Pharrell inherited Virgil's Louis Vuitton role, making him symbolically the successor to a position Drake publicly respected. When Drake disses Pharrell, it's indirectly disrespecting the lineage of Virgil, Pharrell, and Louis Vuitton, which represents Black excellence and creative authority in fashion. So when Kendrick references Off-White or Virgil-style imagery in 616 in LA, and then says he's taking Pharrell's side in Euphoria, he's weaving together Drake's hypocrisy, honoring Virgil, but disrespecting his successor, which is Pharrell, as well as criticizing Drake culturally. Drake commodifies the culture instead of honoring it. And of course, taking a personal stance about that, Kendrick is siding with authentic creative. Kendrick just didn't respond to Drake's words. He responded to the cultural contradictions that Drake exposed. Drake honored Virgil, tattoo tributes and all that, but then dissed Pharrell, who literally stepped into Virgil's shoes. Drake flaunts luxury, Louis Vuitton, Off-White aesthetics, but mocks heritage and artistry. Kendrick, meanwhile, positions himself as a defender of the real ones, in this case, the people who shaped the culture from the ground up. So when Kendrick says, "For him, I inherit the beef," he's not just talking about Pharrell, he's symbolically defending Virgil's legacy and what both men represent in the culture: authenticity, Black creativity, and artistic depth. Kendrick referencing Pharrell and potentially Virgil in 616 in LA isn't random at all. It's a cultural chess move. He's positioning himself as a protector of Black artistry and creative authenticity while painting Drake as someone who disrespects the lineage for clout and consumerism. And we know that Kendrick respects Pharrell and Virgil because when Virgil had passed away, Kendrick had paid tribute to Virgil at the Louis Vuitton Paris show on June 2022. He was invited by Louis Vuitton, then still honoring Virgil's influence on the brand. Kendrick performed songs from his album Mr. Morale while seated next to the runway. During that performance, he wore a crown of thorns designed by Tiffany & Co., symbolizing artistic suffering and spiritual legacy. He dedicated the performance to Virgil, ending his set saying, "Long live Virgil." So there is documentation that Kendrick respected Virgil and respected what he stood for and the things that he accomplished in the space while he was alive. The direct cultural and personal tribute was not a casual one. Kendrick literally performed at the house that Virgil built in Virgil's honor. So could Kendrick be defending Virgil as well as defending Pharrell? Pharrell is Virgil's successor. So if Kendrick is stepping in for him, then he's stepping in for Virgil. At least that's what I think. Without a doubt, Pharrell and Drake got a beef. And instead of Drake accepting Pharrell for taking the spot, he said in the song Meltdown, we're not even going to wear Louis Vuitton. Well, if you loved Virgil and you have him tatted, you wouldn't care if Pharrell was the person that took his place. You would still rock Off-White. You would still rock Louis Vuitton because that's your boy. That's your boy that passed away. But now you're saying you're not going to wear anything related to him because Pharrell took his place. Only seems to me that you used Virgil and didn't really care about the impact that he made. But that's just the theory that I had. That was just the other thing. Obviously, this could all be connected to the mark. Ebony Prince posting the pictures at the Caspia with the items that he had sent to Kendrick Lamar is obviously telling. Also, Virgil wearing the Pan American flag that Ebony Prince is always rocking is obviously telling. Him posting Virgil is obviously telling as well. Are you trying to confirm? Is he trying to confirm that Virgil was at the Caspia at the mark instead of the one in Paris? These are the questions that I've been asking myself lately. These are the theories or the thoughts that I've had up until this point about this picture, about this photo. I know there's other rumors about other things, about 616 behind the scenes, but I just didn't want to go over that in this video. I'll do it in a later video because I feel like that's too much to unpack while I'm trying to unpack this. But this is what I've been thinking at this time. Y'all can tell me how you feel about this and get back to me. We'll do a live later on to talk about this, so y'all can tell me your thoughts. Y'all tell me how you feel under the comments and get back to me, man. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace. Keep it a legend.